Welcome, everyone. My name is Shawn Jones, and I'm the CEO of the iNetrepreneur Network. And today I have with me Michelle Goss, who is a dynamic individual from the inside out. What she does is helps kids and adults really get centered, focused, find a new purpose, and highlight their qualities from the inside out. And the way that she does this is using a technique that involves horses. And today, Michelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Michelle, you and I've talked about horses. I love horses. I've had family members when I was growing up; they had horses, and they're just a big, beautiful creature. And while they're beautiful, they can be a little intimidating, especially if you're a small person, the little kids, or you've never been around horses. But with what you do, your background, your education, your whole life's work, you have found a way to help others through horses. Share a little bit about your background and what you do.
Well, I've always had a passion for horses. In fact, kind of a joke that the first word out of my mouth was horse, not mom and dad. And just always been drawn to horses since I can remember. Got my first horse when I was 13 and haven't looked back since. Went to University of Wisconsin River Falls. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in equine science, a minor in small business, and eventually became a professional horseback riding instructor and trainer, where I developed a lot of my skills working with horses and learning behaviors and dealing with relationships between the horse and the human, personally and professionally. And fast forward through life throws different changes at us. And I was kind of looking at morphing some things. And so went back and got my master's degree at Prescott College in counseling psychology and equine assisted mental health, where I've been able to just totally take my passion for helping people and horses and merge them and offer my services now.
That's beautiful. I mean, 13 years old and developing your passion for horses. That is funny that was your first word growing up was horse. Did you know all those years ago when you were like 13 that you were going to find a way to continue working with horses and along the way help others?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I remember in high school having to write an essay about where we saw ourselves in the year 2000. And I remember my essay was I was going to have a farm with a hot walker, an arena, and all these things around horses and a boarding facility. And that actually happened in the year 2000. By the year of 2002, I had my care, my dream, it did actually come true. And at that point, it was like, okay, here's my dream. So what do I do with it? And so I became very passionate on learning more about horse behavior, human behavior, and combining that. As a student of mine said a long time ago, she said, you've always had a holistic approach to how I trained horses and taught people and that. And so when a friend of mine kind of introduced me to horse guided coaching about 10 years ago, it just totally resonated with me. And I went, here's my purpose, here's my path in life. And to share this wonderful gift horses have and my unique abilities that I have to create the bond between horses and humans and help humans heal.
When you talk about helping people heal, you do work with kids to adults. Typically, in what way, or let me rephrase this. When people are finding results through horse therapy, what are some of the reasons that they come to you? What is it that they're struggling with that horses can help them overcome?
Oh, the list goes on and on. My main things that I focus on is anxiety, depression, and traumas. But in that realm, there's communication skills, relationship skills, conflict resolution, team building. There's family dynamics. Boy, the list can go on. A lot of it's managing our emotions. Most of us all know we have emotions, but most of us don't know how to deal with them. We've never been taught that or how emotions work. And the horses can definitely bring that, because in the moment you can practice the how. We can develop a specific skill for you, and you get to go out and practice it in the moment with the horses and see if it fits. Where else in your life do you get an instant feedback on, if like taking a test, instant feedback of it's going to work or not? And as I say, I'm the navigator of their journey. They are the captains. It's all about my client at that time. It has nothing to do with me. There's no right or wrong. There's just different ways to explore things and find a different perspective to help. And a lot of us are just stuck. We're not necessarily broken. We may feel broken, but we're just stuck. And if we don't know how to get ourselves unstuck, we're in trouble. A client of mine analogized it to, four-wheel driving, 4x4ing. Sometimes you get the truck stuck in a mud hole and you got to go get help. And there's different ways to get it out depending on where it's at. You may use change, another truck. You may have to wait for it to dry up. Who knows? And that's a lot of what the horses do. You get to experience it in the moment, what works and what doesn't work. So not only do we get to see the sides that may not be working, but also the strengths come out. And that's really empowering for people who feel that they're really stuck, to suddenly see, wow, I can move this 1,000-pound horse with my energy, or I can make them jump over this jump, or they're supporting me, or whatever they're working on in that moment. And well, it's really hard to forget an experience with a 1,000-pound animal who gives you what you need or shows you what you need in that moment.
Absolutely. So someone who, let's say, has ADHD or anxiety issues, and they've never been around equestrian equine therapies, they've never utilized those modalities. Walk us through what an experience would be like coming in and working with you and your four-legged babies, is what I call them, for the first time.
A lot of it is first just getting everybody comfortable, letting them know that they're in charge of their process, that it really has nothing to do with me. I'm just the guide. I ask a lot of questions to help motivate thinking in that. So if I know they're dealing like with anxiety and that, generally I'll first have them just go introduce themselves to the herd. They'll be out in the paddock or the pasture somewhere, and I'll ask the client, are you comfortable going in to meet the horses? If they're not, that's okay. There's different ways for us to do it. We don't have to be in direct contact with the horse. It's all about confidence that they're in charge of their process, and they get to say, no, I'm not comfortable, or yeah, I'd like to go do that. And so however that looks, usually have them go in and introduce, and I just say, I'm going to ask you what you notice about this, and give them a few minutes, however long they want, and then come back out and we start talking about it, of what they noticed. And it opens up a dialogue. Some people will say, the horses don't want anything to do with me. They don't like me. They all walked away, or they're all on top of me, or this one pushed me, or whatever their experience was with that horse. It opens up that dialogue right then and there of, well, what did you think about that? What's coming up for you? Is there a horse that reminds you of somebody? A lot of times that's where we go. So we start to see these dynamics in our life come out. And right away, with minimal information from the client, I can already start the dialogue and start moving forward, and a shift happening of, moving them towards a better living daily.
So you mentioned that you talk with the clients, and by the time they, whether they're still just walking around the pasture or they accept being placed on one of the horses, do you talk to your clients about whatever their experience, like their anxiety or their ADHD or the thoughts or the fears that come through while they're on the horse? Do you also do like the talk therapy portion, or is it all just focusing on feeling comfortable and calm being with the horse or on the horse?
No, there's definitely processing, and to make things clear, there is no riding involved with the horses. Everything is from the ground, So that's why no horse experience necessary, because it's not about riding. It's not actually about that. It's about making our processes tangible. And when we become tangible at that point, we feel we have hope and help at that point, because now we have a choice. A lot of times we ask ourselves, or we mull things over in our head all the time, and we can't find an answer, we can't find a solution, and we just get stuck. We're the only animals on the planet that have the ability to create an emotional response by our thought alone. And so by thinking something over and over again, we can create more and more anxiety. And as far as talking, yes, we do process a lot of stuff that comes up for the client. But there's other times I've had clients come up to me and they're like, I just need space. I just want to groom the horse, or I want to take him for a walk. And I just hold space for them. They just get to be with the horse and do that. We don't necessarily have to talk every single time, but I do a lot of education about how our brain works, emotions, and our process. So I'll interject a lot that, because then they can understand what's going on and make different choices, which means then in the activities, we can go out and start practicing those choices to see how well they work, or if they don't work, rather than waiting to go home and try to remember what you're doing and how to do it and all this stuff. You get to actually go out and do it in that moment. And that's really powerful.
That is very, very powerful. Michelle, when you work with clients, do you set them up on, like, you have to be here once a week, 2 times a week? Is there a set schedule? Is it once a week, once a month? What is the process, or do you have different packages that you offer to your clients based on their needs?
Um, I make suggestions based on what their needs are in that moment. I have nothing set, because it's all individual, all personalized. It's very organic in the moment. I mean, there's no set script. We may start off on one tangent and end up someplace else by the time we're done. Um, Generally, I recommend at least once a week to get started so we can get the process. But I do not require them to be on a certain schedule. I have some that come in once a month. I've had some that come in twice a week and then move to different times. It's all based on what they need. I definitely make recommendations to them based on what I see. For instance, if I work with a couple, I generally want to see them together for at least the first or second session, so I can get an understanding of where they're at as a couple. And then if issues come up individually, I'll recommend individual sessions for the husband or the wife, or both, and then come back together at different times in that. So it's very unique and individualized. And the other thing is I can support traditional counseling and therapies as an adjunct, and I can also stand on my own. So I've worked with other counselors who clients are stuck, maybe just need a shift or something a little different. They'll send them to me and I'll do a session or two, just help them see something different. And then they may go back to their other counselor at that point. So it's very individualized, very unique. And I don't necessarily set anything per se on that.
Michelle, I am really, really excited because you will be on our human connection panel, because you are an expert in bridging, the human connection. And, you have so much that to offer everyone. I mean, even the conversations that we've had has caused me to go, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, I've heard. And I appreciate how easy you are to talk with. Even if we don't have anxiety, or we don't have, what I call the alphabet soup of all the acronyms out there for disorders possible, oftentimes as adults, we are stressed, and horses are a great way to relieve that stress. So you don't have to have that alphabet soup diagnosis to say, I just need some peace. And what a fantastic way then to come to your ranch and to where you're at, and spend some time with your four-legged babies. Now you're located in Arizona. What is the name of your company?
My company is Spirit Mountain Healing Center, and located in Gilbert, Arizona.
And if somebody would like to schedule time, whether to talk to you by phone or online, or even schedule a tour to meet you in person and to find out how you can help them, how can somebody reach out to you?
Well, my phone number is 480-988-2165. You can call or text that number, or you can reach out at my email, which is Michelle with two L's, .spiritmountain@gmail.com. And my website is spiritmountainhealing.com.
Well, Michelle, I want to thank you so much for taking time today to spend here, share your company, share your knowledge. I thank you also for all the work that you're doing to help others live a happier, much more fulfilled life and to overcome some of the challenges or even just to release their stress. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the time as well. And thank you.